All right, we are live. Excellent. So, welcome everyone to our August Steampunk Book Chat with our wonderful special guest, Kelsey Josephson. I am your tour guide and your weird gremlin on the internet who loves books, Madam Askew. I'm joined by my wonderful co collaborator, Bill Barden, and we're going to have a marvelous conversation today. We are discussing Beauty and the Ether Beast. And I think I missed some words there. So, Kelsey, I apologize. Um, I have the most terrible, terrible cold, and so I'm a little bit more out of sorts than usual. But it is actually the full title is Forsaken Beauty and the Ether Beast, and I'm so excited to get into this. So first, I'm going to ask Kelsey a few questions. We're going to have a little chat. Kelsey, thank you for being willing to chat with me. So let me just get in here. Hello, my friends.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
So wonderful to have you here. Normally, you're here as one of our book chat participants, and it's such a joy to be able to celebrate your book today.
Thank you. And I love going to book club. It helps add to my never-ending growing pile of to be read books. And there's just been so much fun here with like hearing everybody else's insights to the same stories, and I really get something out of it every time.
I love that. And so, as we were chatting before we got started, we were talking a little bit about our monthly chats, our monthly book club. You you've been coming now for years, and I'm so happy that you enjoy it. Thank you for the compliment. But when we were chatting beforehand, I was commenting that you always ask and and have wonderful insights about the books that we're reading. And I'm wondering, especially given your comment, do you feel that reading is a very critical portion of your process as an author?
Oh, absolutely. I know other authors have said this before, but you cannot be afraid of borrowing from somebody else. Like every now and again you'll hear a new author say that they don't read because they don't want to accidentally take somebody's idea. That's just not how it works. The way that you get better at craft, especially if you don't have formal education, and it need even if you do, I think that you should be reading the genres that you hope to publish in. I also like to read a little bit of everything, so I will just stretch myself with that. And I love it whenever also read something like steampunk adjacent because you can find punk in so many things and it still works. But yeah, I never stop reading. We recently had a romance bookstore day like across the nation. I can't remember how many independent bookstores participated in that. I
It
came
was
home
an
with a
immense
stack
number.
like it was like my stack was like this, and I took my dear mom with me and she had a stack like this too, and it was very sweet. But I had just a mix of a little bit of everything. And I just think that if you want to write, especially professionally, you need to like find part of it where you're enjoying it and make sure that it's not just your to-do list. Sure, you can write to market and things, but you can still study your craft. And the moment that I think that I am done learning, I am in so much trouble. I would rather keep reading and keep treating it like I'm a beginner than to think that I already know everything.
I love that. I feel very much the same about all art in general. The moment you stop learning is the moment you start really creating. And I know that for me, with every project, I want to be pushing myself and learning something new. Um, but I'm curious, as an avid reader, was it a particular book that got you hooked on steampunk, or how did you come to this genre?
Oh my gosh. So, and I came into publishing steampunk, some people would say a little bit late because it's not the heyday anymore, but like so many others, Soulless by Gail Carriger, that was my gateway. I was in my late teens whenever that one came out, and it just instantly hooked me. Like before that, every now and again I'd see like artwork and stuff that would really click with me, but I didn't have the name for it. I didn't know what steampunk was. I was in my high school, I was the captain of my school's like robotics team. So like I was around mechanical things all the time, and I happened to like things if they look like you could look at them and you could see how they worked, but they were also very aesthetic. Like there was beauty in the design, and that set me off. And just from there, I tried to find what I could. Some things from the classics were a little bit of a miss for me, but then there were other things where I wish I hadn't waited so long to read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, because if anybody would have told me all of the queer subtext in there, I would have been so much more on that sooner. But yeah, Gail got me started on it, and I just haven't really looked back since.
Oh my goodness, Solus is such a wonderful gateway into what I consider sort of the second wave of steampunk. And I know I'm not alone in that. She ushered in just a wonderful era that was more queer and more feminist and more diverse. And she was not alone. She had peers coming in at the same time. But I know for many of us, Solus was the one, and I love that we share that. But I'm also like, oh, you were captain of the robotics team. Like, obviously you had to get into steampunk. You're sort of a steampunk yourself. Do you find that your experiences with creating robotics really influenced your creation on the page of your automatons and other creations?
Oh, so much. I used to keep a post-it note on my computer, and it was to the tune of the Mystery Science Theater theme song, basically to remind myself I do not have to design all of my inventions like on an engineering level, that the readers, as long as it's believable enough, we're okay. We do not have to spend pages upon pages with schematics. We just need to get it good enough and do some hand waving with magic. I like to infuse a little bit of magic with my steampunk. It's fun, and I'm also bad at chemistry. That's why we get end up with alchemy. I'm good at other science, but not that one. But yeah, my time in robotics, it helped with so much. Like aside from like the love of automatons, I love them dearly. I think they're so cool. But also it was a crazy schedule, and it taught me a lot about publishing before I ever knew I wanted to be an author, because we had 6 weeks to get our projects done. So like we were on deadlines, so I learned how to do a lot of things with that, and also making something work and just getting my hands in there. It was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. And I don't want to ask too many juicy questions about the book specifically because I know everyone is going to have a lot of questions. And also, I'm trying to psychically touch base with Karen so I don't steal all of Karen's questions, as I always do. Um, but I love that you have this background and you really do have such wonderful creations in the book. And and this is not your singular steampunk novel. You have other works as well. So you've been able to infuse all of those works, I'm assuming, with some of this experience. Do you have
Yes.
a favorite creation in one of your books?
Ooh, ooh, that's tough. For me, my automatons are my babies. Like I love them a lot. My other series is it's a series of like a collection of short stories and novelette length works, and it's set around an alternate 1893, mostly around the World's Fair, which already was a strange enough time, and I probably could have not made anything up and it still would have been a good story. But in this universe, I went with more opportunities for women because we have better technology, because Nikola Tesla, he was himself, but just made better business decisions. And I had an automaton in that named Adam, and I loved him. He was my Living Metal Man story in the middle of that collection, and he was put up on display at the World's Fair, but his creator helped him go on the run from Thomas Edison and his men, and he's just very dear to my heart, and I love him very much.
Oh, But I love anyone who runs away from Thomas Edison.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah. I lean hard into that one in that particular story. They'll be coming back in March of next year for some more stories. I left my characters in a very good place at the end of that collection, and I have always intended to do more. I just have had other projects come up since then. So I've had people who've seen me at conventions with that book and are like, more, and I'm like, I'm working on it, I promise.
So you have self-published, you are an indie author. By the way, you have a gorgeous website and a wonderful newsletter. So if anyone has enjoyed this book from Kelsey, and I'm assuming everyone has because it's so marvelous, but you don't have to. It's all right if you didn't.
It's okay.
Um, but do sign up from the newsletter because it's really stunning newsletter. But you you have gone on this journey out into the world as an independent author. Over the course of doing this, are there some really key lessons you've learned as an indie author out in the world?
Oh. Yes, so many things. And it's funny you mentioned this because somebody on Blue Sky was asking like their question of the day, authors, if you were starting your career today, what would you do differently? And I was thinking about that and I'm like, okay, I know I made mistakes, but if I had done things differently, I would not have met some wonderful people. So, having said that, if I were doing things differently, for me, I think I would have dove right into writing novel length works. As much as I like my short stories, I had written them that way, thinking that, rather foolishly, I would be able to have more of them come out faster because they're short. Oh no, no, you still have to make sure that they're polished, get other eyes on them. There's still all of the things involved in that. And then whenever you pull it together for a collection, you still have all of that. And Forsaken, it had started off as a serialized story. And I thought, and whenever I had first started publishing that one, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this later, I was kind of at a standstill on another project and I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with it because I'd finished the draft and it was ugly, of course, because that's just part of the process. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that one yet. And I saw that at the time Kindle Vella was getting ready to start, which was Amazon's now short-lived stab at serialization. But at the time when I did it, this is what helped me find my readers. This is what helped me be able to afford the website, get better covers for my other stuff. And I really learned a lot more about book marketing and deadlines and making author friends. And like it helped me find my community. And it also helped me get this book done. Now, what I didn't know at the time was with serialization, you have to be on it with like episodes. So instead of normal chapter length things, episodes usually on serial apps, people are reading on their phones, so it's a lot of shorter installments. So it's a little bit of a different writing style. You get really good at writing hooks and really good at cliffhangers so that people keep coming back every week. But it would have been easier on me to just write the darn book.
Oh
Because
my
when you're
goodness.
done, you have to edit the whole thing and make sure it all works.
That's incredible. And how very Dickensian of you to do, like to start with serialized fiction in that way. Um, but so I promised I would not gush too much because I'm really smitten with your book. But and I don't want to overwhelm everyone with my admiration. But one of the things I shared as we were preparing for today was that you kept my heart in my throat so consistently with this book. And now I think I understand a little bit how that worked because you were writing in this serialized fashion. You really did provide a lot of hooks. But you shared something really fun with me about how you've learned to pace your stories and to hone your pacing as an author. Would you share a little bit about that with everyone here? Because
Oh,
it's so
absolutely.
great.
This is my favorite writing tip. So I learned how to pace my writing by watching a lot of K-dramas. I read a lot, but I made sure to model it after ones with happily ever afters. I am very mean to my characters sometimes, but I'm going to get them to their happily ever after. But I swear, no one does the Dark Night of the Soul like a K-drama, a Korean drama, and I've been very lucky in the last few years with Netflix bringing those in. Like Romance is a Bonus Book is one of my favorite ones. I've been working my way through My Demon, and that has the coolest fight dance scene I've ever seen in my life. But what was that other one? The one where her boss doesn't know that she likes K-pop, but like she works at an art gallery. I don't know. There's a lot of them on there, but like I love watching K-dramas. They force me to pay attention because I read the subtitles, but like the pacing is so well done, and you'll have like A plots, B plots, C plots, and like just as something is going good with your A plot, something terrible is happening with the B plot, and I'm like, this is how you get it done. This is how you pace things to keep those pages going because there's always something going on. So that's
Goodness.
my how to plot tip.
I love that. And I'm going to sneak in one of Karen's questions before we break into the full conversation. Karen, one of our other wonderful authors who also comes to book club, asks, did Gail Carriger influence you to watch K-dramas? Because she's a huge K-drama fan as well.
That was a happy surprise. I get some of my recs from her now, like in
Ooh,
her newsletter whenever she's talking about something, but
yes,
I was delighted to find out about that. I'm
yeah.
like, oh, good. There's somebody else who likes these too. That
Yes,
makes me happy.
absolutely.
So that was a very happy coincidence. Just how, I don't know, the internet, I think in some ways is very good about making us feel less alone in our special interests, like that there's somebody else out there who likes the steampunk stuff, but also really likes the K-drama things and likes trying different food. And I get a big kick out of her newsletters.
Oh, she also a wonderful newsletter. If you are not following the Cheer Up, treat yourself. I highly recommend it. So I cannot monopolize you this whole time. Clearly, I just have to have you back for a longer interview. So we'll have to set something up for a sip for tea because I'd love to get into it more with you, and talk more about your craft. But well, I could, says Bill. I could monopolize you, but that would be unkind to all of our wonderful book club participants who are all here with your wonderful faces. So I'm going to take us back into our open book chat. Get ready for me to torment all of you with questions, but also queue up your questions for Kelsey, because if I ask you a question and you get to ask Kelsey a question, that's how that works here at our book chat. So, Kelsey, thank you again. I'm so
Thank you so
thrilled
much.
to have you here. All right, let me just do this little nonsense and this, and now we're all together. Hello, everybody. Karen, I believe I only took one of your questions. Good job, me. Um, but we have some new to me faces. I'm very excited. Sharon and Anne. Hello, welcome, friends. It's so good to see everyone back here today. I'm not going to start with you, Sharon and Anne, so you can see what the vibe is and how we do this. But I am going to start with Karen because she's a good sport and allows me to torment her regularly. So, Karen, this is a book that has an incredible cast of characters. So, my opening question for everyone is, who was one of your favorites? And it's okay to have the same favorite, everyone. And if you'll tell me why you liked them, and then you may ask Kelsey a question, and that's the deal. So, Karen, get us started, please.
One of. I'm glad you said one of. Damek, the automaton. I liked him because everyone needs that person who's always there to back them up, even if they're chopped in half. Uh, so, I think I loved also the conversations and just I don't know. And he reminded me of someone. So one of my first questions is, and I've lost it now. While I was reading it, I was thinking, I was wondering about your inspirations because we have Captain Charity. Is that based on our own Captain Charity? And also, Damek, especially when he was being carried around like a backpack and stuff like that. Star Wars. Were you interested? Did C3PO do that one? Because I know that I watch things and I go, oh, 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 yeah. And yes, you talked about inspirations before, but yes. So those particular two I really wanted to know about was our Captain Charity and was C3PO a bit of an influence, at least for that scene.
So our Captain Charity, that was a delightful surprise because I had written her before knowing about ours. And I'm like, oh God, I hope if she ever reads this book, she likes that character. But she was one of my favorite characters to write. I just lesbian airship pirate is just one of my favorite things to write. And Damick, that was definitely a Star Wars joke with having him in pieces. Yeah, that I'm a big nerd and watch all of the things, and that was the C3PO joke the entire time there while he's in pieces.
He was much appreciated. So yeah, I did have a personal thing. I didn't like chemistry either. That was my worst one. And when you were talking before about the writing, I think I saw Bill and I both nodding at the same time. It's what they call the Dunning-Kruger effect, I believe. The more you do something, the more you realize, the less you know about what it is. So
It's the opposite. I have to correct you, Karen. It's the opposite. The Dunning-Kruger effect is when you think you know more than you do.
well, yeah, but for us,
Oh,
it's weird. The more we know, the more we know, the less we know. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
That means Aristotle thinks you're very brilliant. So good job, you. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Chuck, my friend, would you share with us who one of your favorite characters was and why? And if you have a question for Kelsey, it is your opportunity to ask away.
All right. Well, thank you again for organizing, you and Bill, and congratulations on your award of winning to get the show you just went to. Yeah, it's awesome because yeah, you're very talented and very that's quite a outfit. The dragon scales, the dress, that's very nice. Oh yes.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. So I didn't actually get to finish because I got so many things going on my plate, but I did. I'm about halfway through, and I really like Belle. She's very complex and very. It's like uh, going through, and she has the ether sickness, and she's like the first place they stopped at was like a hospital drop off thing, and when they asked are you okay? Do you have any symptoms? She's like, this is the first time in 11 years anyone's ever asked if she's okay. And all the complex issues that are boiling up and things that are hitting her left, right, and sideways, and how she's dealing with that. And it's just kind of interesting look into the character's mind and space. I guess did you have a certain aspiration for Belle, or just it's just
a little bit. It's like one of those things where a few different things popped into my head, and like in a roundabout way, just reading about like real life mining conditions for Victorians and like, images of children working and things like that. And one of my biggest things with steampunk is that there's a lot of authors now who do a much better job at this, and everything we've read for book club has been really good about doing this. But I think sometimes, um, especially the earlier ones in the genre, don't really think about the workers who make things steam or the consequences for the technology and things like that. And I wanted to write more about from the perspective of somebody who would be impacted by all of these things. I think that Sherry Priest did an amazing job with this in Bone Shaker, in particular with her zombies, with how mining that yellow sludge substance would be affecting on people. So in a weird sort of way, Sherry Priest and Victorian children in real life working in mines and factories and stuff like that. Her particular condition, that was just from a lifetime of reading sci-fi and fantasy and watching too many superhero things. A little bit of Spider-Man in there.
yeah. Nice, thanks.
What a great question, Chuck, because it is such a brilliant part of the book, and I'm really happy you brought it up. And thank you, Kelsey. Wonderful answer. All right, Lady June Squirrel and Mango, our favorite little Mango kitty, my darling.
He's not a little kitty, believe me. He's a very big kitty.
Oh,
And he likes to sit right in front of the screen.
Darling.
Yeah. And I'm so sorry that you came back ill from from Worldcon. But congratulations also upon your award. I look forward to seeing it. You have to bring it over sometime to
Oh,
my
I
house.
will. Oh, I will. Happily.
Okay, so we're talking about favorite characters. Well,
Yes.
Karen stole my favorite character. It's the automaton, because he can be snarky, but he can also be sweet. And at the end, he gets a lady automaton, and I thought that was a wonderful ending for him.
I like everybody to have their own happily ever after. I really
Happily
do.
ever afters are very important. I don't like to read books that don't have happily ever afters either. So now, am I supposed to say something else?
Yes, if you have a question for dear Kelsey, otherwise you can just be like, I'm done. I'm Lady June Squirrel and I don't have to do anything else, and that's totally fine.
um, Kelsey, are you really only 29 years old?
Oh gosh, thank you, but I'm 37.
Okay, because you said that Gale
Exactly.
and Solus came
Oh,
out 10 years ago, and you said you
oh,
were a teenager when you read it.
oh
So I
no,
was like,
it's been longer than 10 years now. It doesn't feel like it, but it's in its teens now.
oh, okay. Well, she does say she just had a 10-year anniversary. So
One of the later ones in the series, or it might have been in the sequel, but
yeah,
yeah, Solus came out not too long after I graduated from high school or my senior year, somewhere in
we'll
there.
see.
But I was
Anyway.
late teens whenever that first one came out.
Mhm. Okay. I just wondered.
Thank you, Lady June Squirrel. Yeah,
Because I'm
no,
really,
Gail's so prolific. It's hard to keep up with which book is
yes,
having an
yes. I wish
anniversary
she would
right now.
write some more. I wish she'd write some more San Andreas Shifter books. Those are actually my favorites.
Thank you. I am rereading this. I agree with you.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you,
Karen. So
Kelsey.
yes, let's see. Karen's got the answer. 2009. Yeah, that's a couple years after graduate. So
Yes,
early 20s
yes.
for me. Early 20s.
Okay.
Still a youngster. It's just very a wee bairn, as they say. So thank you, Kelsey. Thank you, Lady June Squirrel. Sharon, it is now your turn. Who was one of your favorite characters? And it's all right if it was Damek because he's wonderful. But we are curious to know why you like your favorite character as well.
I don't know. There were so many. I mean, I loved them all. I really did. The bad guys were compelling. The good guys were compelling. I liked all of them. But I adored Captain Darling, Charity. I did. I just felt she was so intriguing. I'm like that. The story with her and Mare Marine. I want to know more of that backstory. I want to know more about how they got together and how, just all of that stuff. So I was really loving that relationship and how they ended up together because initially they seemed very different, and just how they managed to get together and all of that. But yeah, I loved her. And I'm going to defer my question to Karen because since Karen probably has the best questions anyway,
Well, Sharon,
I will
you
pass.
may
I will
find that you
pass
have
the question
another
to Karen
question
because she
later.
obviously has a
I,
lot of
I can
questions,
tell
right?
you one thing about Marine and Captain Charity. It's really, really slow. So it probably is still going to be a while yet, but very, very slowly. Even though Forsaken is a standalone, I'm writing a novella, like a prequel novella, just about Captain Charity and how she stole Damek from Marine and as from her future wife, as one does. So I'm writing her a heist story. It's going to be slow because I've got other projects that like I'm committed and contracted to. But like very, very slowly, I'm writing the Ballad of the Figment after the airship and how she gets both her automaton and meets her future wife and a little bit of Delphine in there, but it's mostly about her stealing um Damek and it's fun. But it's
I
very
like
slow.
that
So there's
idea.
like it's like barely a draft right now, but you all are the first for me to talk about it that with.
I like that idea a lot. I do, yeah, because it's interesting. It's like that she stole them. There was still that competition between them, but yeah, and then it took a while to figure out, okay, wait, oh, they're a couple. Okay.
They've been a couple for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So I like that idea. Sorry,
Oh, I
They
sorry,
make
love
me
Karen, you're
that.
happy.
thinking of another question. Sorry.
Thank you, Sharon. That was wonderful. And I'm so excited because they're great characters. All right, Cindy Joy, you are on.
Hi. Yeah, I missed last month, so I didn't miss my mom's 90th birthday, so that was good.
Very
Yeah,
important. Very
very,
important.
yeah, and that she had one. That's kind of awesome.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
so Kelsey, you are currently the age that I was when Solus came out.
Oh,
So yeah,
Wow. It's a
Mom,
wild world. Yeah.
yeah. So I love a mad scientist, and Maureen, she really obsesses when she gets in there, and I like her a lot. And I like I don't know what her backstory is. And I'm only 60% of the way through the book because I just got back home. It's um uh but I don't know what her motivation is for wanting to make everything better, but I like that she's got some kind of complicated backstory that's driving her to make the world a better place. And I like that a lot. And of course I was visiting my mother and sister in West Virginia, which has a lot of coal miners. And and they are still poisoning their employees.
it's
Even it's worse
awful.
now with the big machinery than it was when they were doing it by hand. They're actually causing them to develop the lung diseases faster than before because of course they're grinding through the dirt and putting more stuff in the air. And yeah, so and I know you looked back at Victorian when you were, because you just said so, when you were developing that part of the storyline, but were you also thinking about what's going on currently with?
Yes, I do. And also weirdly Studio Ghibli movies because Miyazaki also like environmentalism is a huge theme in his books too. And even though I love,
Environmentalism and anti-war.
yes, and like I am
Love
both
him.
of those things so
Yeah.
much. And it bleeds into my work even if it's not really about that thing sometimes. But I very much think about like current events. I live in Iowa, and this summer in particular, our water quality is absolutely awful, and this is something that keeps happening with the nitrates. And then the EPA took us off of the list of things, and it's like, no, we still need help. We
Yeah.
still need to have our nitrates looked at and
We still
maybe
need to
put some of
have a
those
strong
regulations back because
EPA.
they're poisoning our water.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah. That's yeah. So yeah. So my question was kind of previously stolen, but yeah. But I'm really enjoying it, and I look forward to seeing everybody get their happy ending.
Yes. Remember that when things get bad, because I promise it gets better. I really make them earn that ending.
Yeah, I'm right at the point where they've stepped off the airship at the festival in their beautiful costumes, and I do appreciate you describing their costumes so beautifully. That's
Thank you. The clothes make me happy.
yeah, yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you, Cindy.
You're
Great
welcome.
question. Great comments. All right, Ronald, you are up next, my friend.
Oh, I
You
think you're
are
muted.
muted.
Oh, you're still muted, Ronald.
You are
Yeah,
muted. Yes, and it's terrible because you always have
There,
great
there we
questions.
go.
Oh,
there we go. I was just saying now you can see me like you did last time. Uh, I People are asking all the questions that I was going to ask, and but I've got more. I've got more.
Oh, it's
Uh,
good.
I looked at this book, this 500 and some page book, and I said, how is Kelsey going to do this and keep interest with like Beauty and the Beast or whatever? And she just like knocked it out of the ballpark. I
Oh,
read a
thank
few
you.
reviews that they said they couldn't get into it, and I'm going like, what's wrong with you? I mean, I was hooked from the very first sentence, and that was it, and loved the whole thing. But for favorite character, uh, I, of course, liked most everyone except a couple of villains, even though I did like them in an antagonistic sort of way. But Captain Darling Charity, I loved her from the very instant she caught the stowaways in the ship with her sword drawn. I said, "Yep, yep, she's my girl." I love that. I love that. So she's my favorite, and of course, my question's already been answered, but I said, what of her backstory? There is so much more to tell. So much more I want to know about her, Maureen. In addition to that, there is more in this world that I would like because it is so detailed, so interesting, and things are just hinted at. And I'm just hoping that you will do something other than a prequel to Captain Charity to show why she is like she is, but also do a little bit more because I think there's more to the Beauty and Belle, or for Belle and the Beast, because they've grown from what they were to what they are. And there's much more to come. And I would like to see that too. So I'm hoping that sometime down the road you can see fit to add a little bit more.
Well, thank you. I do miss them a lot. One of the big, whenever the book had first come out, and like I had a very sweet ARC reviewer immediately like finish reading it, and she's like, "When's the next one?" After I had, had
Mhm.
published on this 500 page um doorstopper, and I thought that was very sweet. I had always intended it to be a standalone, but I probably will at some point, I just don't know when, revisit them. The biggest thing that I'm afraid of is that I tormented my Belle and my Beast so bad in this one. And if I tell more of their story, I've got to do more bad things to them. And I'm just like, what was that movie? It was like Stranger Than Fiction or something like that. And I always think
Mhm.
about that movie where if you're not, it came out years and years ago, but like basically this author comes face to face with her character who is a living, breathing man, and like all the stuff that she put him through. I just think about that with my characters. I'm like, oh no. But I do miss them, and it would be very cool to see what kind of world it could be now with some of the things being fixed. I don't think that everything magically got all better, but it would be fun to see some of these characters again. So it's something that I think about in between things. The cool part about writing is also the worst part about writing is that the
Mhm.
ideas just never stop. But I would love to do more with them. I just need to figure out what I want to do to them. And I
And
appreciate it.
I would love to compliment you on one of my favorite curses in your
Oh,
book, which is Maker's Moldy Knickers. I love that. I just fell over when I
it was fun to
that
write.
was
Thank
great. That
you.
was great because that was just so fitting for this story. And to encourage you a little bit, maybe I want a quote from you, Captain Charity. Somebody asked her something, and she says, "Do you think happy, well-adjusted people become airship pirates? I have a past. We all do. I've had the misfortune of being treated as property until I finally put a stop to it. There may have been explosions involved." I love that.
That's her to her very core.
Thank you,
Thank
Ronald.
you.
Wonderful, wonderful comments and questions. So good. All right, Anne, you are up next.
Yeah, much like Cindy, my favorite character was Maureen. Very similar reasons. Although uh, it was really, I was impressed with the number of things that she knew how to do. So my background was in physics, and I'm learning biology, and that's hard enough, but she knows biology and medicine and chemistry and robotics, and she's just this brilliant mind. And on top of that, she is so compassionate that she has dedicated herself to using all of this enormous talent to help others and make the world a better place. And I just love that. Um, of course, we don't get to know Delphine to the level that we do Maureen, but I get the impression that she is similarly brilliant, and all she wants is power, and the closest thing to immortality she can get. And so it's really beautiful to see Maureen be the absolute opposite of that and just having the biggest heart. I just love that. And the question that I have is, perhaps it was clear, and this is a side effect of doing my fiction reading before bed and sometimes getting fuzzy and missing things. Early on, it was hinted that, or not hinted, I mean, Captain Darling said Maureen had something that she had to make up for, but it wasn't her story to tell. And I didn't catch whether that was spelled out later.
So it goes back like she explained some of it, but it basically boils down to her and Delphine were going head to head for a contract for bidding on machinery for the ether stuff. And Delphine ended up basically using a design very similar. She didn't copy because she's too smart to need to copy, but she undercut her and promised the same design better and faster. And so, like, all of these people who were counting on Marine's stuff for jobs and security and stuff, it just got ripped right out from underneath them. And of course, people got hurt, people got sick with Delphine stuff. And even though it wasn't Marine's fault, part of her, and this is just her particular brand of trauma, felt responsible for that, and she just hated seeing that happen. And like, her and Delphine are messy exes, and there's some of that too. Like, it's been a very, very long time since they were together, but I think there's a little bit of that in there too. It's just for her, it's a horrible, complicated mess, and she always wants to see inventions in science and things like that used for good, and I think it just shatters her heart whenever it doesn't go that way. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne. And so good to have you here with us today. Thanks for joining.
Thanks. And actually, I was here one other time in June, but I had to miss July. So I'm hoping to come regularly now.
Yes, please. And please forgive me. My head cold is making me a little bit daft. So thank you very much.
Don't worry about it.
It's wonderful to have you back. All right, Marty, it's your turn.
Okay. Well, I also like Maureen, but nobody has said anything about Cinders.
Gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cat.
The cat.
Cinders makes me happy.
Huh? Kelsey, I didn't hear what you said.
I said Cinders makes me happy too. I'm glad that you brought him
yes,
up.
because no matter what, she's true to herself.
She really is.
Yes.
I just loved it whenever she ratted them out on the airship. I'm like, I needed something. And I've had cats for a while, and at the time I had a gray what are they called? Tortoise cat. And Cinders was an amalgam of that. And I had a professor a long time ago who told a story of their rescue cat who had burned their whiskers off crawling into it. The cat was okay, just no more whiskers.
Yeah.
I can't remember if she said he was an orange cat with like one brain cell, or like one of those, or
no,
just
all orange cats share.
They share one brain cell.
Yes.
But like that really had happened to her cat with like the whiskers because of crawling into something that he shouldn't have. So it was a mush of me remembering this half remembered story, and my late gray cat, like, just with her attitude, that was all in Cinders.
Oh, I'm glad I brought her up.
Thank you, Marty. I was hoping someone would mention Cinders because such a great addition. And as Karen says, we always need the ship cat. It's very important to have a ship's cat. Thank you, Marty. All right, Stephen, you're up next. And welcome to Book Club.
And thank you very much. And everyone, please be kind because I'm a book club virgin. But
Welcome. We're very nice there. We're a very nice book club.
oh
Yeah.
yes, I just basically stumbled across steampunk within the last 10 days.
Oh,
And
Nice.
I was like, oh, this is great. But anyway, I finished the book today. And I have a different take on my favorite. My favorite was The Beast. And more so, but in the future, I would like to see if there's sequels or more on this story. I would like to see The Beast and some of the Hounds, which I also loved. I'd like to see Belle and the Beast having hounds protecting their property, or hounds for good, not the hellhounds that were in the story.
Sounds for good. I love that, Stephen. That's so good.
Kudos for mentioning Cinders. In my mind, when I was reading the book, years ago, I had a Maine Coon cat, for those that know the breed. And that's how I pictured Cinders. And just on a final note, and it was mentioned about the dangers and the trials and tribulations of mining. My darling wife's great-grandfather was killed in a mining accident here in Pennsylvania. And for those of you that are on the steampunk site, and I post a lot, but I posted a painting that my wife done of a little boy wearing a McKinley Roosevelt hat, which fit right in with the steampunk era. And that was his son, because that little boy, because of a mining accident, turned out to be an orphan. But I love the book. I hope there's more like it. And I look forward to more book clubs, because I just retired this month.
Oh,
And
congrats.
so I can use this to tell my darling wife, oh honey, I can't do that for you right now because book club's coming up. And she joins steampunk too. So you'll probably be seeing both of us in the future.
Oh my
Excellent.
gosh. Well, listen, if you're able to travel, if your health allows it, TeslaCon is coming up in November in Madison, Wisconsin, and that is a very cool steampunk convention to go to. You don't have to dress up in costumes if you don't want to. There's plenty of people who just show up. There's enough vendors there that you could probably come away with an outfit by the end of it. And I think there's a free clothing swap too, where you can get bits and pieces of costumes. But there's authors and artists and panels. I get to talk about things. Like I have research notes that look like this, but only this much makes it into the book. So this is my chance to talk about all of the fun research things I get to do for books and things, and it's a lot of fun. I think I get to talk about automatons in one, Victorians and fairy tales, and gosh, there's two more and I forgot what I'm doing. I'll have to pull it up on the other page, but it's a lot of fun, and there's masquerades and all kinds of cool stuff.
And yes, we're both able to travel. She is definitely the talented one of the bunch, because she's good at everything. The but definitely we will be going to things, and I look forward to meeting everyone and having a good time.
That's
Well,
wonderful.
Stephen, I mirror Kelsey's comments, and I'm going to put a link in the comments that is my 6 steampunk book recommendations for the new steampunk reader. It's on my Patreon, but it's not behind a paywall, so anyone can have access to it. It's somewhere on my website too, but it's a lot easier to pull it up on Patreon. And I hope you will come back. We do this every month except for March and December. We have a lot of great reads coming up, although Kelsey, you're really setting the bar quite high. This great year this month.
Yes, I will definitely be back, and just as a matter of note, and again, I tend to get very deep into things. I was a Civil War reenactor for 25 years, but one of the things that talking about books that I posted, because it occurred to me when we were looking at steampunk that while I love history, I know very little about the particular 1890s, early 1900s. And so I went looking for books, and one of the things that I posted on the Steam Book Chat were the 10 bestsellers of 1900. And so,
Delightful.
and my wife and I are looking at picking these up, and we do a lot of, well, I won't say we. One of the things that Karen loves, my wife, is to be read to,
Oh,
and also our kids when they were still. So that's our plan for the winter, is to pick up the books from bestsellers from 1900 and go on our little library and put a fire on and read. And
Well, Steve,
go ahead.
I hope you will share your experiences with those with all of us in our Facebook group, because I would love to hear your little reviews of the bestsellers from 1900. That sounds like a very fun project. And thank you so much for sharing that with us, my friend, and welcome again. I am going to call on Terry, but I'm so happy that you found your way to book club. It's wonderful to have you here with us. All right,
Thank
Terry,
you very much.
you are so welcome, Stephen. Terry, my friend, who is
Okay.
one of your favorite characters?
For the same reasons as Ronald, Captain Charity. Because I find stowaways on my ship, I'm going to put them to work. What's not to love about that attitude?
Yes,
They're here, they might as well work.
absolutely, absolutely. And I love how they become the extra crew.
Yes, yes, yes. Kelsey, the drama is Her Private Life.
thank you. I have
Yeah.
rewatched that one so many times, and just the title just went straight
know.
out of my head.
I had to
But
look it up.
I really like that one a lot. Their
Yep.
dynamic is so much fun, and
It
he
is.
is so pretty. But
That's a
it's really
given.
well done.
My question is, I love fairy tale retellings. And I saw that you have done Mirror Mirror, which I assume is the Snow White.
Hmm. Oh,
Are there
so
any others coming up?
yeah, so Mirror Mirror was an anthology. I'm not sure if it's in print anymore because it was one of those things where it was in somebody else's hands. So I had a Sapphic Little Mermaid retelling in there. I have the rights back to that, and I'm going to turn that into a full-length novel at some point. It's sitting in my notes, but my next retelling I have coming up is, and I haven't made this part totally public. It's going to get pushed back a little bit, but it's going to be coming out later this fall. Just life has been lifing a little bit too hard. But my next one is a gothic fairy tale retelling of kind of an obscure one. It's called The Clockwork Coffin, which is a retelling of The Princess in the Coffin, sometimes called The Princess of the Chest. It predates vampire stories. Um, I've been told, I have not watched much of The Witcher, but I've been told that they cover that fairy tale in The Witcher. But basically, with this fairy tale, like the root of it, of the original is a girl has been cursed to rise at midnight from a coffin as a monster. The rest of the time she's dead in the coffin, sometimes resting in a church, sometimes in a graveyard. Usually it boils down to what happened was her parents made a deal with a fae, and they did not respect the terms of the deal, and the fae do as what the fae does and follows through with their curse. Usually in the story, it's that the face conditions were that the girl has to be raised by like one other person, can't be seen by somebody else. And in so many versions of the story, it's a king and a queen who are desperate for an heir, and the king decides that, oh, we're so close, I'm just gonna, go and meet my heir. And no, um, and what I like about this fairy tale is that the hero of it typically is a bit of a coward and has to be tricked into going to break the curse. And like most fairy tales, it comes in threes, where three times he has to stand guard, 3 nights in a row. In my version of it, one of the things important to me is the poor girl in the central fairy tale doesn't get a name, doesn't get any lines most of the time, no agency whatsoever. So I put some modifications in the curse where she gets a little bit of time where she's awake as a human. Put it in a gothic-y house that puts Crimson Peak a run for its money. And I have automatons in there everywhere. She has an automaton bodyguard, and at the beginning of the story, her parents are bringing in a piano tutor for her because she's been living with this curse for 13 years, and she's 27 now. She's been dealing with this since then, only having these waking hours like a couple times a day. And um, my hero, he comes into his courage with this because he's got his own trauma, but she is a feral character, and I had so much fun writing her, and she's brilliant, but very feral, and it's so much fun. I
I
really
can't
enjoyed writing.
wait. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, what a great question, Terry. I'm obsessed with fairy tale retellings. I cannot wait to read these as well. Kelsey, good wishes on your writing with them.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. So, everyone, you had such great questions, and I loved everything you said about the characters. Well done, you. We have about 30 minutes left, so rather than going around and asking everyone a question on my end, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you have another question for Kelsey. And Karen, I see you, Karen. We start with you. Although, I'm going to pause. Normally, I don't torment Bill too much because he is so kind and charming. But Bill, I need to know, who was one of your favorite characters before we get into Karen and Cindy's questions?
It's tough to pick. I did like the Maureen's main opponent. I can't remember her name now.
Oh, Delphine.
Delphine, yes. I like Delphine. Uh, I also liked Maureen for all of the reasons people have given before, and I liked Captain Charity too. So it would be tough to pick one favorite because they're all really interesting characters. They have a lot of there there's a lot of hints at backstory that I'm intrigued by. So I'm looking forward to reading that prequel when it's finished.
Thank you. That's what
Bill?
I do whenever I'm supposed to be doing revisions for other things and I can't stand it looking at it anymore. So it helps to have a side thing to do.
Absolutely. I do that with costumes as well. It's sometimes nice to have a palette cleanser so you can cogitate on the other project for a moment, or at least let yourself relax and your brain come back to it. All right, Karen, I know you have a question. So you are up next, my friend, and then Cindy, I will call on you after Karen.
Okay, an obligatory writing question because I know that you like me to ask those ones. So, Kelsey, do you prefer writing reimagined fairy tales or original story? And tell us a little bit about your process in reimagining fairy tale. Do you pick a specific plot points, or do you just get the premise and just pants it?
So
Pantsing, for people who don't know, is just that you just keep writing.
in this one, since it's Beauty and the Beast, when I was 6 years old, my life's ambition was to grow up and marry the Beast, not him transformed, no, the Beast, and have the Gothic castle, not the transformed one. It was too many angels for me. But keep that library. And like, this is what I wanted to do whenever I was 6 years old. And so that one's just always stayed with me. And then when I was older, I had a deeper appreciation for the black and white French one that came out in the 1940s. It is so beautiful. And then when you read the date for when it came out and you realize how close this was with World War II and the fact that they got this movie made, it's amazing. And that one, it's got like a very surreal sort of magical effect to it. But with Beauty and the Beast, like one thing about like most versions of it is the Beast, and I know that this is the fairy tale, but I just don't need a man yelling at me in my face. I like cinnamon roll main characters. I like men who can cook. So for me, getting to do, and I also really love Frankenstein. So getting a chance to do a beast that is more like mad science and sympathetic was a lot of fun. Um, with your question about whether or not I pants or plot, so this was the interesting part. So when I sat down to write this one, most of the time I'm a hardcore plotter, but I throw out the plan about 30% of the way through and then I make new waypoints. So what was that quote from Captain Cold? It was in The Flash, but something about like make the plan, execute the plan, throw away the plan, something along those lines. I like having waypoints and I will like overplan, but I will throw it out. But that first chapter, I did end up revising some of it to, make it flow better. That was one of the few times I completely pantsed something just sitting it down at that first chapter. And I got done with it. And I'm like, oh, I think I have something here. I better outline this one because I was having a bad day, really bad day. And like I was stuck about like what I wanted to write next. This was still very early days for me. And that scene with Belle meeting Beast in the woods, like that was the first thing I wrote from it. And from there, we got the whole thing. And then when Captain Charity showed up, like in my outline, I'm like, I like her. We're gonna keep her. So I'm like fixing stuff in my outline, and I'm like, oh yeah, Maureen is definitely her wife later on. Okay, we're gonna fix some things, and we're gonna put that in. They are definitely married. They need a couple to be able to see what a mostly healthy relationship looks like. They got problems, but that's okay. They can figure it out. Everybody's got flaws, but in general, with other fairy tales, I'm a huge nerd who will go crawling through the archives of fairy tale retellings. I think it's called like the Arthur. It's the ATU. Arthur, is it Thomas or it's shoot, I've handled that, but it's the ATU index. A lot of universities in America have them online for free. And I can share that link sometime. But basically, I will go crawling through there and decide to see what stands out. So for Clockwork Coffin, that is a fairy tale I would never have come across on my own. Um, but I saw a cover that I liked. Well, cover artist. My cover was my own, but there was a call for doing these fairy tale retellings, not even a shared world, just doing fairy tale retellings. And I liked the cover, the concept of the cover artist stuff with like having like this woods background. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see what I like. And I'm crawling through and I'm like, girl gets cursed, rises a monster, predates vampire stories. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is something I want to do. So yeah, I go crawling through there. I think in another life maybe I would have been a professor and gotten a doctorate in fairy tales and monster stuff because I love doing my research in those things. And anytime I get to bring in like some of those more monstrous elements with the fairy tales, I'm going to do that.
Oh, wonderful question, Karen. And also, I look forward to more of your fairy tale retellings because that sounds wonderful. And thank you for the link to the Arne Thompson Uther Index. Very helpful.
Thank
So
you. I've
that's in the
presented on that
chat.
before, and I always forget Thompson's name. I feel really bad about it, but just every time that one falls right out of my head.
It's a mouthful. It's a
It
mouthful.
really is.
All right, Cindy, you had a question for Kelsey.
Yeah, and Terry and Karen, of course, like partially stole my question, but that's the way it goes. So in the classic Beauty and the Beast fairy tale, the Beast captures her as a part of her father, as you know, for her father picking roses for, just it's crazy. But in this one, they're both captured and they save themselves. And Beast is nice from the very start. So, and I think you've already answered that. So when you thought about rewriting this fairy tale, was that one of your goals, was to turn the tale on its head and have her own agency and save herself? And yes, I'm hearing myself ask what you have already answered. So
it's okay. Agency is really important to me. Like I've done, I got the rights back to it, and this is another one that I'm reworking. This one is set in the same universe as Clockwork Coffin, which is a little bit more of a gothic universe, but I've got a Cinderella retelling with a twist on the villain in that as well. Like, yes, the stepmother is still absolutely the worst, but the fairy godmother is the same fae as the one in Clockwork Coffin. We're making a deal with a fae does not always go the way that you want it to. I still give my characters happily ever afters. They just gotta really work for it. But one of the things with fairy tales is a lot of times women don't get names in the fairy tales, even if it's the fairy tale about them. They don't get any agency. And even for my Beast, I wanted to give him some agency, although he has a little bit less because I never fully give him back his memory. But one of the things that's interesting about their relationship between Belle and Beast, I've had people ask me about this before, that Belle's a bit more guarded than Beast is, but like Beast is a little bit
Beast is
more
very
willing.
open
He is, and I think
he's
for him,
very
he's got more of a
confident.
blank slate. And so for him, there's like, yes, he's already lost everything, but he's got a little bit less to lose and a little bit less baggage despite what happened to him. So it gives him a different sort of agency where he's got a blank slate. Some trauma, lots of trauma, but a little bit of a blank slate because of what happened to him.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. So and you do that a lot. You give the women because if you look at the original fairy tales, they're really pretty terrible to the women. Just
Always.
even if they're if the original Little Mermaid, she did not get a happy ending.
No, not even a little. I'm very happy
Yeah.
with like I've got my little sapphic one because I'm like, you know what, this one doesn't even want men. Like we're just not. We're just not.
Throw me in one of those fairy tales and I wouldn't want a man either. There.
No, this one, it's different. But I'm like, no, we're going for a happy ending with this one. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to have the rights back to that one. I'm like, if I'm going to do an anthology or something, I make sure that I get my story back so that if I want to turn it into a novel, I can. And that's one that I'm very excited about looking to flesh out a little bit more.
Oh, I love that, Kelsey. And also, I
Yeah.
love that you're making the queer subtext no longer subtext in that story. So I can't wait to read it. Great, great questions, insights, comments, Cindy, as always. Thank you, my friend. All right, Anne, I hear you have a question for our author guest.
Yes. At the beginning, when you two were chatting, you mentioned that you're self-published, but then later in our conversation, you mentioned you had contracts, and
Oh,
I just wondered about the business. Just are you publishing through a publisher now, or is that
no,
something
I'm still
else?
indie with most of my stuff. I can't talk about the other thing yet. I probably shouldn't have said that, but the vast
Sorry.
majority of, oh no, it's okay. That one's all me. So, every author has a way of doing things. I did the crazy thing and decided to go full on indie at the height of the pandemic with everybody at home. I had always thought for years that I was going to start publishing someday, and then everybody was home with me, and I had a 2-year-old at the time and a 5-year-old at the time, and no plans from the schools because how could they know that everybody was going to be home? and my husband's business couldn't, yeah, he co-owns a comic book shop, and so you don't have like walk-in traffic, so everybody was here, everybody's upset, and I'm like, I'm not doing Someday anymore, so I just started publishing some of the short stories in my Monsters and Machines stories. Made mistakes along the way, but just decided that someday might not happen, so we're just gonna go for it while the world is on fire. But for me, I never really planned on querying or going with an agent, and that part is still true. I don't have an agent or anything like that. I go to a lot of conventions, and sometimes that helps with being able to talk to people and stuff. But on the business side of things, I think that there's a lot of pros and cons to doing indie. For me, it's been good that I get to pick the people that I work with. I get to pick my cover artists. I get to pick my editor. Have more control about like my release dates and stuff. The hard part is like with traditional publishing, like there's still more of a stigma attached with being indie. Like a lot of times they assume that like you're failed at querying. I've never written a query letter in my life. I've never done like what's it called? Like the thing where you pitch on the thing formerly called as Twitter. I've never done that. I looked at both things and just thought I would rather just do it myself. um, the former president of the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association, she was really good about doing indie work and also some traditional stuff. And Gail, who had written Solus, is an inspiration for how to do a contract. If you ever want to learn about the business side of writing, she has a lot of really good thoughts about it. Because in her contract for the Solus books, she gets to retain the rights to publish the novellas in the same universe. So those she has indie published, but the main books are through her publisher. And when you're indie published, um, you keep more of the royalties for individual sales, depending on the terms of your contract. You don't have things like advances and stuff like that, but you do get a paycheck a little bit more regularly. So that part of things is nice. Um, some indie authors have trouble with bookstores. My strategy has been to just stick to finding the local ones, and I'm very lucky to live in an area with a lot of really great indie bookstores and a really supportive Barnes and Noble. Our Barnes and Noble gave me my first in-store book signing, and they were so great about things. I think it just boils down to making sure that you have your options open for either like do a consignment thing or make your books available on Ingram. I have my stuff through Ingram, which is basically in the US, like that is the main place for distributing your books wide. I do my print books like that. I've done the ebook thing wide and limited, and I could go on about the pros and cons of that. Right now, my ebooks are just in unlimited because unfortunately, even though I wanted to be wide and I started that way, it just did not work very well for me. And so putting it on Kindle Unlimited meant more regular sales. But yeah.
It's so fascinating, a totally different world for me.
It really
Thank you
is.
for sharing.
Yeah, there's
Thank you,
a
Anne.
lot of stuff there.
And Kelsey, thank you for that very thorough and very honest answer. Because I know, as Karen said, we have several indie authors in this chat today, and there are as many ways to do that as there are to write. And so it's wonderful to have your insights. And I'm so delighted you asked that question because it's a really wonderful, like crunchy question to bring in. Kelsey, I'm going to just check and see if anyone has any more questions. And Karen, twist my arm. Karen says maybe you should have a talk on the subject sometime where people can zoom in and ask questions. I can be convinced very easily, Karen. All right, Marty and Stephen, I see your hands up. So Marty, we're going to start with you, my friend.
So do you use an editor and do you keep the same editor?
I do Forsaken, and the main editor I used on Forsaken. Forsaken, I actually had three editors working together at the same time. I had my main editor for the whole thing, but I also had for checking punctuation and continuity, spelling, like that last thing. She brought in a couple of her students because she teaches. And it's a big book. So each of them took a third of the book to check for just looking at punctuations. Like this was the thing to do before it went to print. Monsters and Machines, that was more bartering favors from friends who had like editing backgrounds and editing jobs. And since everybody was broke during the pandemic, we just all traded everything. And I was very, very lucky to have folks with experience on that one. And my editor for Forsaken is working on reading some of my upcoming stuff. And as long as I get to work with her, I am very happy about it. She's got a busy schedule, but I'm lucky in that she also writes, and I've beta read for her before as well too. So she gets it. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, I asked this because I'm also a fan of God, Jodie Taylor in England, and she said that really what stepped her up was getting an editor. So that's why I wanted to ask that.
A good editor is going to not try to change your voice, but they're going to push your buttons to make sure that you're saying on the page what you think that you are. Like in some of this last stuff I got back, I got things back that I'm like, okay, it was in my head. I need to make sure it's on the page here about like what the character what's going on here. So she's really, really good at that. But yeah, the right editor shouldn't make you question your ability so much as push you to be the best version of yourself. Really is what it comes down to.
Thanks.
Thank you, Marty. And again, thank you, Kelsey. Apparently, we're brewing an event in the comments inspired by your answers. So thank you. Thank you, Karen. All right, Stephen, you are up next. What is your question for our dear Kelsey?
Well, it wasn't so much a question, more so one of the things that hit my mind as I was reading and everything. And it's kind of the same vein, but a little bit different, because we're talking, an adaptation of a fairy tale. And one of the things that came to mind was or at least when I was a kid, back right after dinosaurs walked the earth, the nursery rhymes. And if you look at the original nursery rhymes, much as the original fairy tales, some of them had a very dark side. It's like Ring Around the Rosies. Pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. You're talking the Black Death. And it's just, I don't know if things like that could be worked into the adaptations of fairy tales or things like that, but it struck my mind that it was the same kind of thing. And that was my comment.
Thank you, Stephen. Kelsey, do you have thoughts about including or pulling from nursery rhymes?
Absolutely. My sister had written not a nursery rhyme, but it made me think of that in that sort of ill-fated anthology. But she wrote a sci-fi twist on the Pied Piper, and that comes to mind whenever we're talking about nursery rhymes being twisted around. I definitely think there's wiggle room. I feel like that would easily lend itself to like shorter forms of writing as well, like I don't know, like micro fiction, flash fiction, that sort of thing. I could definitely see possibilities there.
Wonderful. All right, Ronald's.
Yes, Kelsey. This is not really a question, but it's kind of a comment on the tone. I don't know if it was called the tone, but your story, the way your story is told. I felt that, it's a retelling of a fairy tale, yes, but it's steampunk, but it's not a steampunk set in like the late 1800s. It has a very, very contemporary feel to it. I mean, you've got automobiles in it. What type, I'm not sure, but they're pretty powerful and better than some other steampunk automobiles I've read about. but you've got your mixture of you've got your scientists with all the laboratories and everything going on, but it's also wrapped up with alchemy. It's not magic, and the way you're telling it is just has such a modern kind of a feel. The speech, the way they're talking to one another, it could be somebody that you know that's talking, which I thought was kind of unique in the telling of this type of a story, and I really enjoyed that.
Well, thank you. I wanted to keep it as true to voice as possible. And like I had already, by the time I'd written Forsaken, I had written 5 of my short stories set in an alternate 1893. And the speech in there is a little bit more contemporary because I figure that my readers reading it would probably be able to see right through me faking my way through trying to write in a different sort of way. Um, but like I already had felt like kind of locked in by the rules of that, just even with throwing in like my monsters and my automatons and that I really wanted something that was very much my own. And I also took a lot of inspiration from Studio Ghibli movies where in the artwork, especially in like Howl's Moving Castle, which was based off of the novel by, well, very loosely based off of the novel by Diana Wynne Jones, where you've got like wizards and like um industrial towns and stuff, but they're in the background, there's magic in the going on in the background of like this war and stuff. And I thought that was so well done with blending these fantasy elements and a lot of fairy tale elements. I had started going through highlighting where different fairy tales are referenced in the book version of that, but then in there you've got all these details about like city life and stuff. That's how I wanted to do something like that for me.
That was great.
Thank you.
Apologize. Is anyone else hearing
I'm
some?
hearing it too.
All right, I think it's gone. All right, I was like, I think that is Chinese in the background, which is
Yes.
absolutely fine, except I have no idea where it was
I
coming
can't
from.
tell where
I
it's
was
coming
just looking
from.
to see if I had another window
Like,
open
unless my
somewhere.
cats learned how to turn
Yes, I
something
was
That-
on.
also looking to see
That
if something else was
that
open.
was caught from my open microphone.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you, Ronald. I was like, when did we invite? Well, thank you, Ronald. Also, wonderful question, comment. And Kelsey, if I may, I really love that you use a more contemporary voice, and Karen's comments about it feeling very like how C.L. Polk addresses her works as well. And I think it makes for a more accessible, and like it makes the story feel very present and very gripping, the voice you use for it. So it's lovely. All right, before I wax on, everyone, I think we have time for one last question or comment if you have a burning desire. Otherwise, did you know you can follow Kelsey on social media and also join her newsletter to find out more about future books. And I'm going to pull up some links to share with all of you in the chat. But if you have any questions, now is your moment, my darlings. All right. Very good. Let me pull up some links. Kelsey, would you please share with us what you have coming up next?
Oh, absolutely. The next in November, I'm going to be busy with traveling for conventions. The first one, of course, will be TeslaCon, which is what we talked about just a little bit ago. I'm both paneling and vending there, so I'll have a table with my books there, but I also get to talk about automatons and some of my research with that. I get to talk about Victorians and fairy tales and some of the fights that would occur because of Victorians and fairy tales. That's going to be so much fun to talk about. And also like a panel about including fairy tales with steampunk elements. I can't recall the exact panel title off the top of my head. And then I also have a writing panel that was added here recently on there. I see that Eric, who runs TeslaCon, has been posting the schedule, and that was a good reminder for me that, hey, I do have that panel. But I will be at TeslaCon November 7th, I want to say. It's early November for that one. And then later that month, around November 21st, I'm going to be going to a romantasy convention that is designed for nerds, and I'm very excited about this one. It's called Fables and Flame. It's a first-year convention, but the people running it are familiar with the convention scene. They have at least a decade of experience with sci-fi, anime, and fantasy conventions, so it's not going to be like some of the ones we've heard here lately that have had problems. This one's going to be a good one. It's going to have a lot of authors there. There's going to be a LARP. There's going to be a masquerade. There's going to be tattoo artists. There's like a drag burlesque show. All of the fun things. I think there's a couple of tea times in there. And that one is going to be up around the Mall of America. Where is that? Bloomington? Bloomington. I'm going to pop it up. Apologies. I have the link on the next page. I'm going to drop the link for that one because that one's brand new. But if you live in
Thank
the
you,
area and
Kelsey.
you like this sort of thing, yep. This oh, it's by Minneapolis Airport. Okay. And but yes, I'm going to be just tabling on that one. So for me, that sounds kind of like a cakewalk. I do a few, well, more than a few conventions, but the Chicago Steampunk Expo, which is going to be in June now, and TeslaCon are my two big steampunk ones that I do because for me they're in driving distance. And then I try to hit up like a few bookish ones in between there. But I'm really excited about this Fables and Flame one. I met them at DemiCon, which is my local sci-fi and fantasy convention, and they were lovely people, and I feel like they would fit right in with some of our book club stuff. But all of it is more romance, but having a steampunk romance book in there is not beyond the question. So I'm very excited to be included in that.
Wonderful. Have a great time. And we're not going to get into the problem children. They've gotten enough news and exposure. But these brand new shows that are happening, like Fables and Flame that you are discussing, can really be a wonderful time. So if you love books and you like a little bit of fantasy and maybe a bit of romance, or you're open to it, they are fantastic events, and I highly recommend attending. And I wish you very good luck at yours.
Thank you.
I'll see. It's very exciting. I no longer have hands because I now have cats, and he must be cuddled. This is Monsieur Ghetto, so he's here to help us finish out our book club today. But we do have a wonderful Discord community as well as our Facebook group. So if you are looking for ongoing conversation for books in between our book chat meetings, we have two fantastic spaces to do that. Our Discord is very lively. I will post the link once I'm able to get my hands again. Sharon, don't worry. We will get you that link. Next month, we are meeting on September. I'm going to use my very special grandiloquent word of the day calendar. We will be meeting on September 21st to discuss Volume 1 of Monstrous by Marjorie Liu, and that is illustrated by Sana Takeda. And this is our first foray into doing a graphic novel for book club. So we are giving it a try. This is a very acclaimed graphic novel. I'm quite excited to give it a read with all of you and to discuss it. It will be a different sort of discussion. We'll be talking about the art and the illustration as well as the story, as they go hand in hand with this sort of thing. And I'm very excited for our adventure in this direction. We have 2 more books coming up, after Monstrous. So we do have book club in October and November, and Bill and I are busily compiling our potential reading list for next year. And Karen is in here as the MVP. So we have Etiquette and Espionage coming up. And please hold up both of those books again, Karen, for all of us. You're so kind. And we have Etiquette and Espionage and Strange Practice by Vivian Shaw, I believe it is. And so it's going to be a wonderful time. We're going to have great conversations in the rest of the year. It's so wonderful to have all of you here chatting with all of us. And I hope you had a great time today with our wonderful, I'm using that word a lot today, with our delightful guest, Kelsey. Kelsey, thank you for your time today. It was great discussing your fantastic novel, your retelling of Beauty and the Beast.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
It was a pleasure. I'm going to take us off of the live stream. To everyone who is watching us live on YouTube, thank you so much for being with us today. If you're watching later, I hope you enjoyed the discussion and that you go forth and spread the good news of Kelsey's book. The best thing you can do for any author is always to leave a review and to tell someone about it. Encourage your friends to pick up Kelsey's book and also to come to our book chat. Kelsey, this was a fantastic novel. It deserves a lot of word of mouth and recommendations. And I just want you all to remember that no English teachers are grading your book reviews. They do not have a minimum word count. One sentence about how you liked it and 5 stars, whatever stars you feel it deserves, is always a good thing to be doing. So thank you all. We will see you next month for Strange Practice by Vivian Shaw. No, that's in October. I'm so sorry. Please forgive my congested head. Next month is Monstrous. And October is Strange Practice by Vivian Shaw. So please follow the graphic and check in with book club for our reading list. I cannot be trusted right now. Thank you all very much. We will see you.